All right, welcome to the third tutorial in our Docs as Code series. In the first two tutorials, we covered setting up GitLab, VS Code, our local repo. We pushed some changes, but the recent action that we did was to create project skeleton within our repo. We just created some folders and files, nothing in them. We created those and then we pushed the changes to our remote repo in GitLab. So that was our last action. So all of these files that you see here are updated and are running in parallel with our local repo. So any changes that we do, we are going to do it locally in our VS Code, and our files are right here. Look at the difference between the files and folders. The ones that you see in VS Code on the left do not match with your local machine folder. The reason is we have some config files such as gitignore, gitlab-ci, which is for testing building, and mkdocs. Mkdocs is the static site builder that we are going to use. So it is also a configuration file, but GitLab config files are generally hidden in the folder. If you want to see them in Mac, you use the shortcut key Command Shift and dot, and you would see now it would match whatever you see in your VS Code repo structure. But we generally don't need to have them always shown in our local machine. So I'm going to hide them. You can still see those right here in the VS Code. So our primary objective in this tutorial is going to start filling up our configuration files, configuration settings that we want to impact our building process and our site generation and publishing setup. So the first one that we are going to look at is mkdocs.yml, YML as its short form. Right now it's completely empty. There's no content over here. This is just a suggestion. It will disappear. So this is the one that we are going to focus on. And once we are done with this, we'll jump. MkDocs is completely related to how the website should be built. What are the settings we need to have ready before publishing? And the other one that we are going to look at is gitlab-ci.yml. This is going to configure how our code or the content that we write is going to be compiled, how is it going to be tested, and built and deployed. So stick with me. We'll start off with mkdocs. We'll configure the static site building as our first step. So starting off with mkdocs, I will first paste the YAML code that I have and I'll explain it. Don't worry, this might look overwhelming, but this is one-time activity to set up your static site building. Okay, these are my settings. Let me quickly explain what they mean. The first one, the YAML works in the form of key and value. So first you've got the keys, then the values. First is self-explanatory, site name. This is going to be the name or for site, not the link, the name. So I have my name and I've written technical writing portfolio. And please remember that my objective is to build a portfolio website. You can customize as much as you want. If you are going to build some other, so for example, knowledge base or help documentation, go with it. Use your own names. Configuration is going to remain the same. It is just minor customizations that would differ between my objective and your objective here. Continuing, this is the URL. I have this registered using GoDaddy. It is very simple to go select a website that is available in domain retailers such as GoDaddy, even Wix sells. So if you have registered one, just use your URL over here. This is the repo URL. What does it mean? This is your GitLab repos URL. So if this is going to be your website, you need to tell what does this website contain. It contains stuff from the repo URL. It is, where do you find that? Go to your repo, click on code, and it is the same link that you use to clone the repo. I believe we cloned in the first tutorial, so it's the same exact link. Just copy that and paste it over here. Repo name, I'm probably going to change it to my current one. This was by default I'm just using my repo name from here. The next part is about the theme. Theme connects your, how do I put this? In MkDocs case, it selects the material theme. It has pre-built configurations that MkDocs uses. Let me show you. This is just a glimpse of what MkDocs material does. I will make sure that I add the link for you to read more in the description. Coming back to our YAML code. Okay, so this is the theme that we have selected for MkDocs. What are the features it's going to provide? Navigation tabs. This is all website language now, that we need tabs, we need sections, we need content code copy. This is good for people who have content that is code heavy. If you have code blocks, it will automatically render it in a way that the code can be copied. It would generate something like this. The copy button that you see, it will allow users to copy your code easily. So those are the configuration settings that we are setting here in the static site builder, that these are some capabilities that we want in our published website. Language, English. Now here we are almost designing the website. We are talking about navigation. The basic navigations of the website is, it's going to have a home page which is going to be called index.md. What are these .mds? These are nothing but the file names, the page names that you're actually going to author on. I'm going to have an about page, and I'm going to have a collection of page collection. What does it mean? That my portfolio page is going to have sub pages. Right now I just have listed 2. I will increase those as I go on. I'm going to have 2 extra tabs in my navigation. Video tutorials is the name of the tab, and this is going to be the address. It is going to stick here. Let me correct this. I don't need tutorials here because this is going to stay as the standalone main page. Okay. So navigation is straightforward. These are just the names of your website pages and their respective source files. This is the source files that you would edit to impact your home page and the respective other website pages. Hope this is clear. We are defining some plugins that need to be inculcated in the website. For example, search. We would like to have a search option for users. Yes, we would like to create a site map so that it helps the CEO while searching. So for a portfolio, that's not something that is vital, but if you're setting up uh, online retail, that makes more sense. Minify is nothing but it compresses the HTML. Then you've got we can list some markdown extensions, and most of the extensions that I've listed assist developer documentation. If you have too much of code, the first one, for example, admonition, creates you warnings, disclaimers. It would help you with that. TOC creates content hierarchy within your published page. Permalink true. Yes, we would like to stick to one uh, link. These are some additional features for coders. Again, it would highlight syntax errors. It will format your code appropriately with this tabbed. And we also have emoji. If you are going to use SVG, this would be helpful. So don't get too caught up in this. This is just the basic setup of how our website is going to be, and not all of these are required. The extensions, the plugins that I've used are specific. You want this, you can stick to this. You don't need to go in depth of what this script is unless you actually want to learn YAML. I don't, I just know the basics of it. So whatever is required to configure static building, I stick with that. So we are done with configuring our mkdocs.yml file. What does this Black dot mean that the file has been updated. There are unsaved changes. So Control S to save and make the dot disappear. The next file that I'm going to focus on is GitLab CI. This is very important. Here we are going to configure how our source files are going to be compiled. How are they going to be checked, tested, built, deployed. We'll repeat the same thing. I'm going to paste my YAML code here and I'll explain what that means. Perfect. Any GitLab CI file starts with stages. These are the stages that you define must be run while publishing your pages. So here we have defined test and we've defined deploy. So these are the two stages. Now within this, we will define what happens in each of the stage. So once you have said that these are the two main stages we want to execute, we are going to give it configuration. How are you going to test it? So the first test that we have included is markdown lint. This checks your source files. This checks for your markdown mistakes. If there are any syntax errors, it would stop. It would immediately make the pipeline fail, the publishing pipeline fail, and list you. These are the errors that you need to fix. Moving on, the second one is link check. This is primarily for the purpose of checking broken links. If you have used cross references within your pages and if the link is broken, it breaks down and tells you go fix it and run again. And pages, let me show you something before I talk about pages. In the future, we will be looking at something here called deploy and pages. Sorry. So pages is nothing. Actually, the right term is GitLab pages. GitLab uses pages as the medium to publish your website. So we'll be configuring these pages, and that's what we have defined here, that we'll be using pages. This is the reason that if you recall our first tutorial, we made sure that our system has Python. What is the stage for pages? Deploy, obviously, because this is the final publishing part. These two were related to testing, markdown lint and link checking. Pages is for deployment. So we've given what else needs to be looked at. We've asked it what to install. We've given the reference to MkDocs. So you can just use the script as it is. Here we are building the site and our visibility is public. At least for me, it is a portfolio. So I'm going to keep it as public. One of the rules that we have set is commit branch would by default be main. Main branch. We'll talk about branches much more as we continue with the tutorials. Why do we have main branch? Why do we need to create and separate branches and work on them and not main? So we'll discuss this later. For now, I am done with my GitLab CI configuration. I'm going to save the file. Let's take a moment here and make sure that we commit our changes and push it. This would pop up with errors if there are any. So let's just see what's the status of our repo. So I'm going to write git status. This is the most common git command. Let's just refresh. We have talked about all this in tutorial 2 if I'm not wrong. Git status would tell me, okay, in my repo, these are the two files that have been modified. It just shows the status. Okay, these are modified. What do I want to do next? I want to stage these changes. I want to stage them, telling GitLab that I'm going to commit both of these changes, not just one file. I'm not omitting anything. I want everything, all the changes that I have done right now to go ahead. That's what git add dot means. Otherwise, instead of dot, I would be writing the file name. So git add dot, staging is done. I'm going to commit the changes now. Git commit, and you always write a message for history, version history. This would help us auditing our own changes if we ever need them. I'm just going to give a simple title here, configure MkDocs and CI. So my commit is done. It tells me that two files have been changed. There were 82 insertions. It counts the lines. So if I combine the lines of both these files, it is 82. Final command, git push. And remember, you don't always need to write your commands. Just use the up arrow key to recall your previous commands. I'm not able to find the push command that I need, so I'm just pasting it here. This is a push command, git push origin main. These are all configuration files. Yes, we are making the changes directly to the main branch. We have successfully pushed this to the remote repo. And now we look at the pipeline, which I am sure has failed for a specific reason. Here you go. Your pipeline is identified by this. If it is successful by green rounded icons, now it has failed. That's why it shows red X. And the reason for failing, I'm sure, is indentation. So you click on that to see what's wrong with your code. Go to pipeline editor, read the error. The GitLab CI configuration is invalid. So at least it is narrowing it down. It is telling me where exactly my problem is. GitLab CI configuration, which is the gitlab-ci.yml file. Markdown lint config should implement the script run. The reason it is not identifying this, even though we have this content in our script, is because I have not indented these things rightly. Indentation is very important for the script. So it is a syntax error, and I did this on purpose just to show you how a pipeline would fail and what's the purpose of setting up these test and deployment pipelines. How does it ensure that ensure the human error is limited? Before publishing, it checks all these things and lets you know that no, this is going to cause problems. Correct it now. So I need to indent all of this. I'll not do all of this. I'll just pause and copy paste all of this. There you go. Now the indentation is right. Under each of these primary scripts, I need to indent the ones that are its child items. Now let me save this again, and I'm going to check the status first. Yes, that's the file I edited. I'm going to stage it, commit it, fix syntax, and push this again. Let's see if we are through this time or there are still errors to be taken care of. It still failed. Let's see what's wrong now. Go back to pipeline editor. Invalid expression syntax. Let's look at that. I think I understand the syntax error here. If you look at the rule here, I believe it was supposed to be just CI, no hash, no CD. Let me correct that and check it again. And remember, this is going to be your, forget about configuration files. Even when you do your technical documentation, you are going to have pipeline failures repeatedly. It could be your images, broken links to images, unavailable images, deleted images, replaced images, name mismatch. So yeah, so it's good to learn debugging of pipeline failures. So that's what we are doing right now. Let me correct this syntax. This is my best guess that CD is not part of the actual syntax. Save, save the file. Status. Yes, stage commit fix syntax. Let me number it. Commit is done. Let's push. So we've pushed successfully. Let's check the repo now. Before we check the GitLab pipeline, I have just made some changes that I missed to record. So excuse me for that, but I'll quickly show you there. These are not major changes. Just a few unnecessary syntax that could cause us issues. I removed those. In the gitlab-ci.yml file, um, under pages, we initially mentioned sitemap extensions over here, so I have removed them. So if you're following the exact syntax, make sure that you take it off. The reason being MkDocs itself by default creates sitemap, but we made the mistake of adding the plugin over here. So that's for GitLab CI. Coming to MkDocs, we had initially included that within these plugins. So just update these two, the plugins here and within GitLab, the extensions part. And if you are trying this out in parallel to the tutorial, do not use the syntax that I have written here because we will be making constant changes. If you do want to add it immediately, copy it from the description. I'll make sure that both the configuration files, the content within those will always stay in at least all the beginning tutorials, 1, 2, 3, or maybe 2, 3. So use the YAML code from the description. That's a better option. So what's next? Okay, so we have pushed, we rectified the syntax mistakes we faced earlier, as well as the ones that I just spoke about. Let's look at the GitLab pipeline now. Okay, so now you can see that the pipeline has been successful. That's why it's green. Initially it was red, telling you that these are the errors, take care of those. So you can still go inside that and look at the sub processes. So under test and deploy, we had these checks for our stages. So it's done, and deploying pages is done. So we are good with that. Mm, Now our focus should be on, okay, we have pushed the changes, the code that we have written, the content, everything is clean. How do we ensure the output? How does it actually look? How is our website coming up? Yes, we have not written anything much. It's just basics. Let's look at that. Let's look at how to set up the preview. It's called a local preview to see how the website changes have been in the output. If you guys have watched the first two tutorials, one of the prerequisites was installing Python. I'll quickly recap that. And don't worry about the links over here. I'll make sure these are added in the description too. So this was discussed in, I believe, first tutorial where I asked you guys to install Python. Here is the link. And once you have successfully installed Python, you just verify it in your terminal that it is existing and the installation was successful. So go here, download it. Now we'll just verify this. I have completed the second and third steps here. I'll just show it just for you guys. This is a question to the terminal to check and tell us which version of Python has been installed. So it tells us that Python 3.13.7 has been installed. So installation is good to go. Then make sure all the MkDocs material plugins have been inculcated. We need those to preview our site. These are not necessarily to build the site, that will be taken care of MkDocs, but these plugins help us to build locally. I'm not going to run it here because I've already installed this. This would be redundant. So I'm just copy paste it here. The reason it is pip3 is because of recent Python changes, which I will not bore you guys with. Once we are done with this, we can run the local build. Let me pull up the command. Yeah. Python 3 mkdocs of. So this is the command we'll be using a lot to preview our development of the website. So this will start generating. It will initiate the server first. It will create a local build, and I believe it is ready serving to. Once you have this command, this message serving on HTTP and these numbers, open that up, and you should see at least a blank website here. Since we have not actually written anything in any of our pages, but we did create navigation options within our configuration files. If you guys can recall that, if you remember this nav within MkDocs, we wanted home page, about page, portfolio, a collection of pages, and sub pages within that. This is what it has created for you. If I go to portfolio, it will tell me that it has 2 more pages within that. So it has created the skeleton basically. So this is how you preview your website as you are building, just to ensure that your intentions have been converted to actuals. Now, since we are also learning Git codes on the go, it's a good time to tell you guys that once the server is rendering, you will not be able to use your terminal anymore. It is continuously serving. You need to stop the server now. So the easiest shortcut is Control C. Click on your terminal anywhere over here. Control C will bring you back. It will first shut down the server, so the link will not work anymore, and you are back to your repo. Perfect. So we are at the end of our tutorial, almost at the end of our tutorial. Just to recap, we learned how to configure our main files for GitLab, GitLab-ci and MkDocs. We filled up some content within that. Just remember that you might want to customize it per your needs. One tip that I would like to leave you guys with is, in your GitLab, I made one mistake, was creating this project independently and not within a group. I will not go into technicals, but if you guys have just created your repo slash project in GitLab, make sure you move it to part of a group. We can quickly look at how to do that. Stay in your main repo page, go to settings, general, scroll all the way down, expand advanced, again scroll all the way down, transfer project. So once you have your group created, if you want me to show how to create a group, I will just do it in a minute. Once you click on this namespace, your groups would be listed here, and you can just select your group and click on transfer project. Creating groups is straightforward. Just go to your home page, click on this GitLab icon, groups, and new group. That's it. Create your group here, use the blank template. Once you create that, go to your project settings and transfer it to the group. I should have informed this earlier, my mistake. So we've covered configurations all the way till local build preview. Any questions? 100% you will face some pipeline build errors. If you can't solve them, use the comment section. I'll do as much as I can. So we'll end our tutorial here. For the next one, we will move on to mapping our website, the one that I bought from GoDaddy. You can get a website from any of the registrars and register it in your name. If you have the website ready, we'll see how we can map that to GitLab pages. GitLab pages is what GitLab pages acts as the medium to publish to the actual website. We'll look at that, or we might jump to SEO and analytics if you want that. So I'll definitely come up with a plan, and once we are through with these things, then comes the docs as code workflow, where we edit, publish, and the process lifecycle would be captured. Perfect. So hope you guys are caught up and good luck. Thank you.